Hey, this is Corey from Wolfpack Woodcraft, and this week's book is the SAS Survival Handbook for any climate and any situation. Now, some people call this the Bible of Survival. This book has everything in it. How to escape a car that's underwater, how to get off the railroad tracks, everything is in here. Every climate, the Arctic, the desert, how to make shelters in all the different climates. There are colored pictures for wild edibles and poison ivy and all the things to avoid. This thing has everything in the kitchen sink. So let's talk about it. Time spent, was it worth the time spent reading? Yeah, there's a ton of information in here. Now, because of that, I couldn't retain all the information because there is the variety is huge. It goes very in depth into everything. And so as I was reading it, I was learning a ton. But then as you continue on, you forget because you're just absorbing so much of whatever else you're reading. And so this is one that you're going to have to read multiple times in order to really appreciate all the information that's in here. And even still, I have a hard time remembering because even like the insects and the bats, and then there's one about I think there's one on fish. And so there's a ton of information in here. And so you're going to have to read it a bunch of times. Easy to read? Kind of. All right, so this is where it gets kind of tricky because it is easy to read. It's written very well. It's very easy to read. It's easy to understand, but they go so in depth and they're so, like I said, you read one chapter and you learn everything there is to know about climate. And then you go to the next chapter that's about primitive skills and you learn everything there is to know about primitive skills, but you forget what you just learned about the climate because it's so detailed and it goes, and it's hard for me anyway to retain the information. And so there were times where I'd have to go back and like read the section on climate so that when they were talking about winter survival shelters that I remembered what they were talking about. You know what I mean? What I learned with the time spent. You will learn everything from this book. A lot of people really enjoy this book. It's been revised a bunch of times. This is the revised edition. The million copy worldwide bestseller. There's a reason why 1 million of these have been sold. They make like a pocket one. I don't know if the pocket one has everything that this one has in it. But there's a lot of variations of this book. The newer ones always have even more information. They go deeper and dive deeper and get more information into everything, all the little details. They make sure that they don't miss anything. I really enjoy having it because it's not only is it a good book and not only does it have all the information and everything you could ever want to know is probably in here somewhere, but just the peace of mind of having it, just the peace of mind of knowing that if I was in a situation, I could pull out this book and it would probably show me or tell me where to go to get the information I need to make it through whatever it is I'm going through. And so the peace of mind that this book gives is worth it as well. Aesthetics, Nature, and Appreciation for Beauty. It is a really good book. It's easy to read. Some of the pictures get kind of confusing, like with the knots, like how to make a rope ladder. The pictures get kind of, when you're dealing with that much intricate rope work, I guess, it's hard to comprehend that on just 2D pictures. You know what I mean? You kind of need a 3D representation to see how that should work. But they do their best, and they do a really good job with what they have. And so that is that. So this is going to get a 9 out of 10 for me. Again, this thing has everything in the kitchen sink is in this book. And so if that's something that you're into, if you want one book to rule them all, this is one of those books. I'm sure there are things missing in here that I'm not aware of yet. But like I said, you dive so deep into it, you don't remember what you just read, and then you get to the next section and you're diving so deep into it, like you become an expert in every chapter, you know what I mean? And so take that for what you will. I think a lot of people aren't going to invest the time to read it because it is so in depth and advanced, and it took me a really, 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 really long time to read this book, and because of that, again, I forgot a lot, and so take it for what you will. It's a great book. I'm glad I have it. I'm never getting rid of it, but let me know in the comment section down below what you think of it. It's hard for me to review this book because it's a great book. It's a super good book, but I know a lot of people that own it that have never read it because they're intimidated by it. And if you're not going to read it, it really doesn't do you any good. You know what I mean? And so I want to recommend it because it's a great book. I want to be like, everybody needs this, but not everyone's going to read it. And if you're not going to read it, there's no point in having it. So I don't want to recommend it to those people because then it's going to be a waste of money. And so I'm kind of in this wishy-washy thing, you know what I mean? Because it is an intimidating book. It is one that's you're going to need to invest time and energy into it. You're going to have to want to read it in order to get through it. And so hopefully that's a good review. Hopefully you got something out of this. And if you did, leave that in the comment section down below as well. And I can't wait to see you on my next video.